What's up, everybody? It's CMP with Sample Class, Craftmaster Productions, and Studio1Tutorials.com. Don't forget to stop by Studio One Tutorials, pick up your premium membership. It's 50 cents a day. Also, please stop by CMP Kits. Get yourself a copy of Arrangement Arsenal 6 or get the certified Loverboy arrangements. Get the Baby Keem arrangements, but get the arrangements and make yourself deal with so much less stress and anxiety when you're executing your beat making. Now, let's look at what a lot of people have been interested in is my signal flow, right? I have these devices on my desk. We've got the Zulu, we've got guitar pedals, mono pedals, stereo pedals. I've got the mastering limiter, the SSL6 and the Patchbay, right? And the Patchbay seems to be something that is intriguing to folks, maybe sometimes confusing. So what I did was I went ahead and I created a graphic for you guys so that you can kind of see this isn't all of my devices, but this is pretty much all of them. This is 80% what I could fit on the screen, right? You'll notice here if you're looking, there's two stereo pairs and a mono channel that don't show. I'll explain what they are real quick. This stereo pair, this is what I use. I use a pile hum eliminator because sometimes due to the layout of my cables, when I use one of my analog synths, I'll get like a ground ring hum. I've tried to trace it down. I don't know what it is. So when I patch into the eliminator, it goes away. That was like a $25 device, and it wound up working out really well. So shout out to Pile on that. And let's just go through from left to right and look at what we're actually doing, right? So this is the back of my interface. This is my SSL6. This is my Better Maker. This is my Starlight Echo stereo guitar pedal stereo delay setup. This is my mono guitar pedal signal. I usually have the Fairlight shallow water on this, and I have my other stereo effects set up. This is the Chase Bliss CXM 1978. This is probably the prize of my pedal collection. Just such an excellent pedal, and I appreciate 607 and Chase Bliss Audio for hooking me up with that because it's a very expensive piece, right? So let's look at how the Patchbay is set up. Now, I set mine up the way that the industry and YouTube kind of suggests, and that's making your outputs on top, right? So when you look at my Patchbay, first of all, all of my outputs are on top, right? And then the bottom, these are all inputs. So that's why there's less inputs connected up than the outputs. Okay, so my first device all the way on the right, or all the way on the left rather, is my Better Maker. 1 and 2 are the outputs of the Better Maker. 3 and 4 are down on this row. These are the inputs for the Better Maker, right? So basically what that means is, using a patch cable, I can go out from, I could go from any one of these, top outputs, and then plug in here, and then I can utilize the Better Maker's clipper. If there was like some drums I wanted to clip, or I can take advantage of their harmonics. The odd and even harmonics is a very slept on feature of the Better Maker, and then obviously the mastering limiter as a whole, right? I've got input 3 and 4 set up on the next set of inputs for my interface. And what this allows me to do is, you see how I have, like an OB6, a Rev 2, I've got a Prophet X, I've got this Yamaha Rompler. And instead of what I see a lot of people trying to do is they'll get an interface, right? And they'll say, okay, just look at me. I want to warn you against this, right? What a lot of people will do is they'll have these excellent analog synths, right? and they sound amazing. And what they'll do is they'll cheap out on their analog to digital conversion because they think they need more inputs to be able to, like, yo, I have a synth, so each one of my synths needs to be hooked up to an interface, which means that I'm going to need an interface with more inputs, which means that I can't afford to have something like, I don't know, like an Apollo, six or something like that. That's $2,500. I just can't afford that. Well, you can still use like a twin, or what I would really recommend is the X4. But if you had to get like a twin, you could still use the twin, because if you just add a $100 patch bay, you could still have that high quality conversion, right? And then instead of thinking that you need to plug each one of these in to the into your interface, nah, bro, you could just like say, okay, I want to plug the OB6 in, and you take two patch cables, and then boom, you plug into the input of the interface. Or now I want to use the Profit. I just fucking put the patch cables in here. Or now I want to use the Yamaha. Boom, I just put the patch cables in here. So you're looking at it and you're wondering and you're saying like, well, CMP, that means that I could only record one instrument at a time. Yes, that means you can only record one instrument at a time. This is hardware world. You can't, I mean, you can. You can replicate your computer setup, but it's going to be super expensive. It's going to be crazy expensive, right? When you're in hardware world, you have restrictions. So you finesse those restrictions and you embrace them, and it winds up exposing you to new workflows that will enhance your creativity. It's not a bad thing, right? So that's how my synth setup works, right? And what this allows me to do is I have three effects on the patch bay, right? So I can patch in and out of my effects, right? I can take and say like, okay, I'm going to take my OB6 and I'm going to patch into the input of this delay, right? Okay, I like the way that delay sounds, and I'm going to go from the output of this delay to the input of my reverb. Man, that sounds, that sounds great. And now I'm going to go from the output of my reverb into the input and record that. And then I wind up, with this really nice synth sound that already has time-based delay effects on it. I record that into my DAW, and now I'm not using a bunch of plugins. I'm not bogging down my session, and I'm getting like really great unique ambiances that maybe not everybody has access to because they don't have my combination of effects, right? Because you can't download these. You have to purchase them. Another thing that this setup allows me to do is to be flexible, right? So this mono pedal right here, when you look at it, I've got the Fairfield shallow water there, right? But within within a couple steps of my desk, and on my desk at any time, if you look here, um, I could take any one of these pedals right here and simply unplug my Fairfield, okay, and then just switch around a couple wires and say, okay, now I want to use Dark World, right? And then now it's on the desk. I move these, plug it in, and boom, I'm good to go. I'm using Dark World now, and this workflow, it might seem like, well, I got reverbs and stuff that I could use. And yeah, like if if you're 100% software, then obviously this isn't for you. But for being able to swap hardware effects in and out like this very simply, very fluently using the patch bay. And again, all I'm using, let's go back. All I'm using is two sets of inputs on my interface. I don't need 1,000 inputs on my interface. I have the X4 because I need to run a microphone when I do streaming and recording content. But if I didn't need this, I could probably totally get away with using with using a twin. The only reason why I wouldn't be able to use the twin with my current setup is because these two optical in and outs, these give me 8 additional channels on another interface, which is called the claret. And my claret is what I plug my 8 inputs into my SSL6, which allows me to use it as a summing mixer, which allows me to send stuff from my DAW to the SSL6 to be able to use the super analog channels to compress them, to be able to take advantage of the bus compressor, to be able to take advantage of the preamps so that I could overdrive them. If you have an SSL6 and you overdrive an 808 inside of this, you will never use a plugin to make your 808 sound fatter or have saturation again. Like it's just that good of a unit. But I hope you guys were able to kind of just see the signal flow, take a screenshot of it. There's really nothing to be afraid of when you're thinking about getting into hardware and, oh my God, how am I going to wire everything up? You notice that every setup that you look at that has more than 3 pieces is going to have a patch bay. So it's worth it to, just go ahead and get the Samson S patch. It's what pretty much, everybody in the home studio market uses. It's clean, it's quiet, it's not going to give you any noise. And it's going to make, if you have a desk like mine or something that, where you have one U free and you can, and you could have it at arm's reach, it's just like, having like, this is where the word plugin comes from. You see what I'm saying? So you'll be able to use your synths and your guitar pedals and things like that as plugins. So this is CMP with Craftmaster Productions, Sample Class, and Studio1Tutorials.com. You guys keep it simple, but don't be basic. And we will see you on the next one.